So when the officers and employees of the banking industry is going 2 day strike, of course it will affect the general public as a whole. Focus of the strike is recruitment. Recruitment means adequate recruitment in all cadres, and that too permanent nature of recruitment.
2021 1st February, while presenting the general budget in the floor of the parliament, the finance minister proposed to privatize 2 public sector banks.
No, actually, we all know that immediately after this announcement by the Indian finance minister, the bank employees and officers at the call of United Forum of Bank Unions observed 2 day strike on 15th and 16th of March 2021.
Welcome to Janashakti Network. Bank employees organizations, their joint platform called United Forum of Bank Unions, have given a call of countrywide continuous 2 day strike to take place on 24th and 25th of March. On this issue, the viewers will have an idea that on what are the issues on which the bank employees are going on strike. We have with us General Secretary of Bank Employees Federation of India, Debasish Basu Chaudhury. Bank Employees Federation of India happens to be one of the major constituent of the United Forum of Bank Unions, consisting of 9 national level trade unions. So, welcome Debasish Basu Chaudhury.
Thank you.
Now, we would like to have your opinion and the issues on which the joint platform of bank employees has given the call to go on strike for 2 days on Monday and Tuesday next. The issues we want to hear, and for the viewers, they are interested to know the issues.
Thank you very much for organizing this type of program, of course, which will help the viewers throughout the country to realize what is happening within the banking industry. So when the officers and employees of the banking industry is going into 2 day strike, of course it will affect the general public as a whole. And strike as a weapon, as a final weapon, we are also utilizing this with much caution. Now, so far as this strike is concerned, in this strike, of course, the employees of public sector bank, private sector banks, foreign banks, and the regional rural banks will also take part. Now, the focus of the strike is recruitment. Recruitment means adequate recruitment in all cadres, and that too permanent nature of recruitment. As we all know that staff, particularly frontline staff, is the most important to render service to the customers, which is very important for a service industry like us. And so far as public sector bank is concerned, it is the main source of the economic strength of the country. So recruitment is related with not only service, but also when the country is witnessing a serious unemployment situation, highest during the last half century. So it is important for the young people also, so that recruitment continues in the banking industry. Just one statistics will suffice, that in 2014-15 there was 8,44,000 employees and officers in the banking industry in public sector banks. Now this number has come down in 10 years to 7,46,000. That is 1,10,000 has been reduced, whereas in private sector banks in these 10 years we are witnessing that from 3,10,000 in 2014-15 it has been increased to 8,46,000. That means in private sector banks 1 lakh employees are more nowadays than public sector banks. And one more thing is that particularly in the posts of peons and sweepers, there has been drastic reduction. Almost all the banks have stopped recruitment of these 2 posts, And another statistics will definitely help you to realize that in 2014-15 in public sector banks, there was 1,60,000 subordinate staff. Now it has come down to 94,000. So this is the thing that is bothering us, and of course it is hampering the service. We all know what is happening to BSNL. People are losing faith on this premier public sector company, as because with inadequate manpower, BSNL is not in a position to cater service, and of course government policies are responsible for that. And in public sector banks also, it is facing some existential crisis due to lack of recruitment. And another thing is that Grameen Bank employees, at the call of All India Regional Rural Bank Employees Association, they are also given a call for 2-day strike on all these demands, along with some of the demands of the Grameen banks also. They are also facing serious manpower problem. So this is the main issue for the strike that is going to be taking place on 24th and 25th of March.
2021 1st February, while presenting the general budget on the floor of the parliament, the finance minister proposed to privatize 2 public sector banks, and subsequently proposal to amend the banking laws have also been tabled. Now, what is the approach of the United Forum of Bank Unions on this issue? What is the stand of the unions, and what is the approach of the unions to combat the attempt to privatize the 2 public sector banks?
No, actually, we all know that immediately after this announcement by the Union Finance Minister, the bank employees and officers, at the call of United Forum of Bank Unions, observed 2-day strike on 15th and 16th of March 2021. And just before the winter session of the parliament, there was a bill enlisted to be brought up during the session as Banking Regulation Amendment Bill. And immediately after that, we had another phase of strikes on 16 and 17 December 2021. But after that, the government so far has not contemplated to bring the bill. But we are not complacent, of course, because all these things that I told, that this inadequate manpower. Secondly, another thing is disturbing us, though it has not come into this agitation program right now, but Bank Employees Federation of India has also highlighted this, that is the rate of interest that is being offered by these public sector banks in comparison to the private sector banks. Just 2 examples I would like to place here, that so far as this term deposits, that is the fixed deposits, are concerned, the public sector banks are offering maximum rate of interest. If we take senior citizens who are getting some additional rate of interest than the common people, the public sector banks are offering up to 7.8% maximum, whereas there are as many as 7 private sector banks who are offering more than 8% up to 8.55%. So this is a big gap that the private sector banks are offering. And so far as this interest on savings account is concerned, while the public sector banks are offering maximum 3.5% interest on savings deposits, the private sector banks, most of the private sector banks, and recently these newly small finance banks, they are offering up to 7 and 8% if the customers are keeping balance more than 1 lakh rupees, like that. There are many customers who are keeping more than 1 lakh in savings account in public sector banks, but they are only offering 3.5%. So this is also having some adverse effect on the business of the public sector banks, which is losing business continuously as due to these policies. So on behalf of BFI also, we are demanding to increase the rate of interest, and so far as return on assets are concerned, the public sector banks are quite comfortable to offer more interest than they are offering now, which is also a very serious thing that BFI is concerned with. And of course, we will try after the strike call to highlight this issue as much as possible by the joint platform. So this is also another challenge that these public sector banks are facing, we are concerned with.
Up till April 2020, there were as many as 27 public sector banks. From April 2020 onwards, due to merger and big merger, mega merger that has been called, the total number of banks have been brought down to 12. What do you feel the attitude of the government or the game plan of the government behind this merger of public sector banks, bringing the number down from 27 to only 12?
No, definitely. Actually, from the very beginning, when this amalgamation was coming into the scene taken by this government, we have been identifying that amalgamation in whatever nomenclature we use, either be it merger or whatever it is a prelude to the privatization. And that at the time of this amalgamation, perhaps we could not substantiate this, but immediately after this mega merger that you are referring took place from 1/4/2020, when 10 banks were amalgamated to 4 banks and the number has brought down to 12. Immediately after that, the Union Finance Minister in 2021, while presenting the budget, she proposed for privatization of 2 public sector banks. So, by that way, whatever we analyze that amalgamation is a prelude to the merger, because it is not possible for the government to privatize 26 banks, 27 banks, and that is why they wanted to reduce this. And we all know that this government, that is the NDA 1, 2 and 3 government, since 2014, it is a pro-corporate government, and whatever this corporate lobby, a very small section of big corporates, they, as per their wishes, these type of policies are being taken up by the government of India. So, with the pro-corporate lobbies desires, these things are going on. But apart from this, what is disturbing us, that this merger has converted the bank's policies. We know that when the nationalization took place in 1969, from then the banks were being performed with some mass banking attitude. Now it has been converted to class banking. And along with this, what is coming up, that this corporate lobbies, pressures and other things, these policies, particularly this inadequate manpower, is putting up maximum pressure on the employees and officers also. And nowadays we know that during the period of demonetization in 2016, then this COVID in 2020, the bank employees had to perform in a very adverse situation. And many of the bank employees lost their lives during the COVID. More than 1,500 employees lost their lives. Now, with this inadequate manpower and with this pressure, of course, the targets, the employees are facing a very stressful condition in their workplaces. And equally important for the bank employees is a 5-day week. Now, we know that in the whole world, now the 4 days week has come up. But in our country, the bank employees are working only with holidays on 2nd and 4th Saturday. Now, it has been a long pending demand, more than 10 years, that it should be converted to 5-day working week. As we know that in the central government, in the state government, in Reserve Bank of India, the regulator, and recently in LIC also, the employees are working 5 days week. But in the banks, the government is not very interested. And after a series of struggles in the last wage settlement, which was signed on 8th March, an understanding was reached that with approval from the Ministry of Finance, 5-day week will be introduced in the banking industry, but it has not been done. And what is concerning us, this stressful condition have taken lives of many of the particularly officers. More than 500 officers, as reported, has committed suicide due to this stress. And we know that many of the bank employees are also suffering from depressions, acute depressions. Recently, some of the employees, very young employees, have also died, that we all know. So, introduction of 5-day banking week also is a very important thing, as because for any institution, workforce, the employees and officers are the biggest stakeholders of an institution. So, by that way also, 5-day week is also a very important demand in today's banking, and particularly when the government is claiming that 90% of the financial transactions are being done through online channels. Okay, we know that Unified Payment Interface (UPI) has come. That is the scan based payment. Now, with all these things, when this much advancement has been done in banking transactions, we can't find any logic of eluding the bank employees from getting 5-day week. So, this is also a very important demand of the bank employees, that immediately this is to be introduced.
The banking system in our country has been in the main in public sector since 1969, 19 July. And subsequently, there has been attempts on the part of the central government, whosoever was there, to go for privatization of the public sector banks. And the way the things are going on now, is it not a clear indication that instead of going for direct privatization, they are encouraging development of private banks, then the public sector banks, and their plan is to squeeze the public sector bank. Now, what will be your appeal or message to the public at large to protect the public sector industry and, for that matter, the public sector banks?
No, definitely. It is a very important thing that the public sector banks of the country is required to be strengthened. We all know that after the nationalization of the banks, as many as 36 private sector banks, when they became critically ill and was at the verge of closure, it was the public sector banks only who took the responsibility of all these private sector banks. The glorious example is a Global Trust Bank, which at the time of their closure was being taken over by Oriental Bank of Commerce. Very recently, when Yes Bank, the fourth largest private sector bank of the country, when they also became sick, it was the State Bank of India who extended their cooperation, and Yes Bank was saved. So, it is very important that public sector banks, it is not only a matter of the protection of the people's money for that matter, but it is also have acted as savior of the private sector banks. Since nationalization of the banks, no private sector banks in our country was either closed, or no customer also of this country, even if their deposits were in the private sector banks, they lost their deposits, as it was being done before the nationalization. So, not only for the job security of the employees of the public sector banks, not only for the economic sovereignty to be maintained of this country, but also equally to safeguard the deposits of the people in the private sector banks, strengthening of public sector banks is very much necessary. And of course, United Forum of Bank Unions is seized with this, and definitely we will leave no stone unturned to maintain this sanctity or strength, or for that matter existence of the public sector banks. So, Indian people, we definitely, the citizen of the country, even under all these problems of the public sector banks, they have kept their faith on the public sector banks, not only public sector banks, on the public sector enterprises of the country. The people of the country is the most important stakeholders of these public sector undertakings, including public sector financial companies. So, it is the public who have saved these companies, and definitely the bank employees movement will require the cooperation of the people in general to support in this movement, as because this movement is not for the employees or officers' interest, it is for the interest of the country and its people. I think that general people definitely realize this, and so far during all these years, in all these struggles, we have received this cooperation from the Indian citizen in general, and of course, we will continue to do so. The people definitely will extend their support in this fight, which is to maintain the economic sovereignty of the country.
So, naturally, it appears that this 2-day strike is not the end of your struggle. Your struggle is for protection or defending the public sector banks. Your struggle is for safeguard the interest of the common people, the depositors' money, and with all these issues, you are planning to go to campaign amongst the common people, because common people's support for success of the strike is very important. I think with that direction, you are moving for making the strike of 2 days on Monday and Tuesday successful. So, thank you, Mr. Basu, for giving us time in this video meet. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest incidents. Hit the bell icon to never miss an update. We will see you next time with more news that matters. Stay informed, stay safe.